I am completely addicted to watching YouTube. In fact, YouTube videos have pretty much become my major source of video content that I watch, which is really crazy. And there's a lot of channels out there that watch Rerez and produce their own content, and a lot of them I'm not really familiar with. So I asked a bunch of people to create a 1-minute video covering their favorite video game so that we could feature on the channel, so that you guys at home can find and discover these new channels and see a whole bunch of new people that you've never seen before. And, well, a lot of people sent in videos. Like, a lot. So without further ado, here we go.
Yo! My favorite game, and easily the hypest game, is Metal Gear Rising Revengeance. It's fucking cool. When I first heard about Rising Revengeance, I wasn't too interested because I wasn't familiar with anything Metal Gear. My doubts were quickly set aside when I realized you can cut anything! MGRR is easily the most over-the-top character action game with the hypest gameplay mechanic around. Slow down, cut anything mode. And that's only the delicious dust on Doritos. The story features amazing action movie cliches, larger than meme villains, and some of the tightest gameplay around. Yo, you gotta play it. If this sounds like something you'd be interested in, check out my video on Transformers Devastation.
Hey everyone, I'm Eric from What's in Your Game Room, and one of my all-time favorite games ever made is Super Mario 64. Back in 1996, when I was 13 years old, I was still playing the Super Nintendo games like Donkey Kong Country, and when I opened up my Nintendo Power and saw Super Mario 64, I was in complete awe. So when I found out that there was a kiosk at a different town, I begged my dad to drive me there. And when I got to play it, I was blown away how you could move Mario in a whole 3D world. The analog stick, how it's precise and you can move him anywhere, make him walk or run, moving the camera, it was mind-blowing. And it forever paved the way for 3D games, but it also made me the gamer that I am now. It turned this casual thing into a passion. If you like stories like this, from other video game collectors, click on the link below.
It's incredibly hard to nail down my favorite game, but if there's one that hasn't left my head since I played it, it's Ori and the Blind Forest. Ori is a Metroidvania-esque platforming adventure with RPG-like elements. It's one of the most beautiful looking games I've ever played, with gorgeous visuals, buttery smooth animation inspired by Studio Ghibli, and a breathtaking soundtrack to boot. It manages to tell an impactful, emotional story without breaking pace, and its mechanics and additions to the genre are a culmination of years of polish. It may not pioneer game-changing mechanics, but it manages to be the perfect introduction to an imaginative genre that's definitely seen better years. For me, it's a match made in heaven, and that's all it really takes to cement itself as one of my favorite games.
My favorite game of all time is Batman Arkham City for the PS3, Xbox 360, and PC. It was released in 2011 after 3 years after Asylum released, and I think 2008 or 2009, and I think it just surpassed every expectation, raised the bar in every way that it was just better than Asylum in many ways. More villains, more gadgets, open worlds, city that you could explore. It was pretty good, and that ending though. So yeah, Arkham City.
How you feeling? You got Riggs here with my favorite game of all time. If I had to choose one, man, so many great games. One game that comes to mind almost immediately is Zelda 2: The Adventure of Link. Now, I know that it's probably not the most revered Legend of Zelda game of all time, but it was the first game I felt like I was really there. It was the first game that I thought like I was the one traveling on an adventure. I was the one going to strange towns and having ladies invite me into their house for various reasons. It was the first game that really drew me in, I think. I mean, I loved adventure for the Atari 2600. And The Legend of Zelda, the first one, might even be a better game. But Zelda 2: The Adventure of Link is the game that really drew me in. So that's why I consider that game my favorite game of all time.
Hello everybody of the internet, I am Protocourt from the Super Big Crew, and I'm here to talk to you about my favorite game of all time. That's Majora's Mask from The Legend of Zelda. Just the mask system alone in this game, to me, is a great and innovative mechanic. going from one quest to another, giving a fun trial and error system to the game where you just try to figure out what masks helps you along on your mission. And these masks are only part of the side quests and are not at all mandatory to the main game's adventure, so it will not slow you down in the long run. But the great thing about these side quests is that they expand the world around you and you learn about the townsfolk and their worries and problems, and ultimately resolve them. And of course, who could forget about the moon, the most iconic part of the game? Who doesn't remember looking up at the sky and going, "Oh my god, what the heck is that?" It just sets the mood right for you. You have a mission, and you don't have long to do it. It just made it feel more epic. Now, I could go on, but a minute is only so long, folks, so I'll have to cut it here. But seriously, I want to thank Rerez for having this little segment for us and letting me be a part of it, so thanks, man. It means a lot.
A game that is above all other games in its category. A game that will grip you. It will catch you and you will be like, I need to play more. It has a driving factor to it. It just makes you want to keep going. A game. You start out small. You grow into something bigger. It gets you and it's like, I have you, and I can't let you go. That game will forever be known as Euro Truck Simulator 2. Play it.
Hello there, my name is James and I play games. Pretty straightforward. Now, I play many games over the years that it's not even funny. But the one that I come back to constantly, yearly, monthly, daily even, is Spyro 2 Gateway to Glimmer. Riptos Rage if you're in the NTSC region. Now, why is it my favorite game of all time? Well, I could say about the levels design, I could talk about the controls, the characters, the bosses, the music done by Stuart Copeland by Police, oh my god, collecting the gems, doing the mini-games, collecting orbs, talismans, whatnot. But the main reason it's my favorite game of all time is because it's my comfort zone. After a bad day of work, after a day of school, I can come back to this. And I'll feel refreshed, I'll feel refined, and I'll be smiling from beginning to end throughout this entire experience, forgetting about reality for once. And if you can do that in a video game, then you've done something right.
Hey, I'm Josh of DLC Squad. My favorite game has to be Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door. And that's because when I was a kid, I didn't really have many friends. And the friends that I thought I did have, they used to pick on me a lot anyway. They weren't really my friends. And this game made me think, friends stick together and friends are awesome. This is the best. This is what friends should be. So I used to come home and play it. And eventually I beat it, but basically using the power of friendship. And it gave me hope that maybe one day I'd have really amazing friends like that. So, Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door. It's my favorite game.
Ever since the recent release of Yoshi's Woolly World for the Wii U, I've been revisiting one of my favorite games ever released by Nintendo. The game that started this whole arts and crafts meets platforming venture. I'm talking, of course, about Kirby's Epic Yarn for the Nintendo Wii. Now, I can already see some of you shaking your heads out there. Really? One of your favorite games released by Nintendo? But hear me out. We all know the folks at Nintendo aren't big risk takers when it comes to their main franchises. But believe me when I say this game isn't just a simple palette swap of our favorite pink pal. One of the biggest complaints I hear about this game is that Kirby can't die. But I'd argue by simply removing health and extra lives from the picture, the gameplay makes a shift in focus for the better. In a few weeks, I'll be taking an in-depth look at this game and the influences it had on the most recent Yoshi release. So come on over to my channel Zero Counts, subscribe, and stay tuned.
Most people doing this collaboration are going to pick their favorite game ever, being Super Mario Bros. Or Legend of Zelda, or even Superman 64. But they'd all be wrong, because the best game ever made was a little-known game released on the Xbox called Reservoir Dogs, based off the movie of the same name, which is pretty impressive, seeing as how that movie has absolutely no action in it whatsoever, and that's where Reservoir Dogs shines, because what you do in that game is rob the jewelry store you never see in the movie. Isn't that cool? Okay, maybe it's not.
Why Limbo is my favorite game ever made is something I can't explain properly. The zigzag road of my potential favorites is the forest where I always get lost. Is it Red Dead Redemption, God of War, maybe it's Minecraft or Bioshock? But no, I always land on Limbo. One word to describe Limbo with pinpoint accuracy is subtle. From the encounters with the spiders to all of the great puzzles, this game uses subtlety in a way to engrave it all into your subconscious in a manner that's nothing short of masterful. The encounters with the spiders, the bear traps, and the insane variety between each puzzle is what adds to Limbo's appeal and very rich atmosphere. Limbo really is just what you make of it. There's no story, celebrity voice acting, or revolutionary gameplay. The game leaves it all up to you, the player. Limbo is a game that trusts its players, and with a dark, rich atmosphere, awesome puzzles, a grim tone, and a timeless art style as well as subtlety unlike any I've encountered in a game before, Limbo will forever on be timeless and shall be remembered as a classic as well as one of the best games ever made in my eyes.
What's up guys, I'm Dave from Ludi Antiqui, and today I'm going to talk to you about my favorite PC game, System Shock 2. Co-developed by Looking Glass Studios and Irrational Games and published in 1999, System Shock 2 is a first-person shooter RPG hybrid where you play one of the few survivors of an interstellar voyage gone terribly wrong. Hindered by a rampant AI, alien parasites, and infected crew members, you must find a way off the ship to save yourself and, possibly, the world. While it's never been a pretty game, what makes System Shock 2 so memorable is the amazing atmosphere of dread that it creates, thanks in large part to its inspired sound design. From the ambient noises of the ship, to the pumping dynamic soundtrack, to the myriad audio logs that the Shock series is known for, System Shock 2 just sounds right. System Shock 2 has recently been released on both GOG.com and Steam, and I recommend it without reservation. For a more in-depth review of System Shock 2 and many other classic game reviews, check out my channel, youtube.com/ludiantiqui.
Hey guys, I'm Matt the Chozo from Chozo Thinks About, and my favorite game of all time is The Wonderful 101 for the Nintendo Wii U, because, well, where do I even begin? It's developed by Platinum Games, so you can already expect a lot of over-the-top and crazy scenarios and action sequences, but it features probably one of the most creative and comprehensive and well-thought-out combat mechanics ever made. It's like Devil May Cry, Bayonetta, and Pikmin made sweet comic book hero love and created this shining, colorful gem in the midst of games with barely any color. All the characters are memorable, and it's fun to listen to their banter, and the gargantuan boss fights are the main highlight of the game. As a matter of fact, the final boss of this game is probably one of the single best finales I ever experienced in a video game. The scale of the game is impressive, fighting giant enemies with a herd of heroes is incredibly satisfying, and once you master it, the pacing is phenomenal, never leaving a single dull moment, and constantly bringing something new to the table. It's without a doubt one of the most unforgettable experiences on Wii U, and one of the few exclusives on that system that deserve more recognition. And overall, it just makes you feel like a badass hero. I mean, who doesn't want to be a badass hero?
What's cracking, everybody? I'm Mega Pie Man PhD, and what's my favorite game? Well, you just wait and see. I can't really pick a favorite, only favorites, and I don't care what you think, but to me they're all hits. There's Painkiller, What a Thriller, and Reggie Blue and TF2. While some may have mocked, I like Ratchet Deadlocked. Add his buddy Clank for a cracking time, and to me that game is just sublime. How about Blood? Well, its sequel is crud, though there are some sequels that I think are a hoot, like Raiden, Battlefront, and Crash Bandicoot. But I'm running out of time, so I'll finish up quick and just mention that I really like Heretic. To me, there's not many games you can find that are greater. Again, I'm Mega Pie Man, and I'll talk to you guys later.
Hey Shane, one of my favorite video games of all time would have to be Friday the 13th for the NES. Now why do I say Friday the 13th? Well, I'm a big horror movie fan. I loved horror movies, or started watching horror movies at the age of 7. Yeah, I know, why so young? You know, parents don't do that nowadays, but I seem to turn out okay. So, why do I love the game? It was in 1988 it was released. I saw it on the shelf, and it's like me loving the Friday the 13th movies, I had to try it out. And once I started playing it, I really loved it. I love the demographics of it. I love the concept. I have to go to fight Jason in all the cabins and collect all the weapons. I just think it's a really fun game, and it gets a lot of bad rap, probably from a lot of people, but myself, it's one of my favorite all-time games.
I've been playing video games since 1988. 2 years after that was the first time that I ever experienced Mega Man 3, which is by far and large my favorite video game of all time. It's got just the perfect mix of everything. It's got great, fantastic music. It's got excellent platforming, really well thought out, thorough level design, and it's got probably the best boss lineup, in my opinion, of any of the Mega Man games. For whatever reason, Mega Man 3, when I go back and I play it, I always discover something new about it. And I've played the game hundreds of times and blown through it and beaten it. So that is my choice for best video game ever made.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Mike from the Retrolectors, and this is an entry video into Rerez's top game of your entire life, and I could not narrow it down to just one. So here's my top 3 in no particular order. First things first, it's Mario 64. What dare I say about Mario 64 that hasn't been said already? It's an unbelievable launch title for the N64, and one of my top favorite games of all time. It's unbelievable. Next is Legend of Zelda. Again, top 100 games of all time. It's an unbelievable and amazing entry in anybody's lifetime. It's unbelievable. And last but not least, and that's Metal Gear Solid. Metal Gear Solid has done things that a narrative story couldn't do. It had to be a cinematic story. Unbelievably done. It was something that once you played, you can never forget. But again, guys, thank you very much, and please like, comment, subscribe.
Hey everybody, this is Crazy Ace Ninja from Replay. So after thinking for a while, I think my all-time favorite game would probably have to be Super Mario 64. Mostly because that was the first game I ever owned on a console. Also, the level designs were awesome, it was totally fun, the music was awesome and memorable, and it jump-started the 3D world, a 3D generation for Nintendo. Even still, I'd like to go back and play it, even play a bunch of the modded versions that people have made with two-player co-op, or even just creating a bunch of new levels. And who doesn't like to play against a 3D Bowser and swinging him into a bunch of bombs? Anyways, thanks for watching and check out my channel.
Hey, what's up guys? Lucius T here. Now, I was already working on this, but I noticed Shane from Rerez wants us to submit a little video.
Who the hell is Shane from Rerez?
I think he's some Game Chasers fanboy from Canada. I don't know. He's always on their DVDs.
Gotcha.
Anyways, we're talking about my favorite game of all time, Legend of Zelda, Link to the Past. Surprised you didn't do Zelda 2? After all, it does have Shadow Link in it. No. We don't have time for you. I only have a minute and I've already spent most of it making fun of the guy who's picking the winner. Whatever. This game is great. Without this game, IGN Mora never would have made Marvelous Another Treasure Island, and then he wouldn't have directed Ocarina of Time, and without Ocarina of Time, we wouldn't have 20-somethings thinking that Ocarina of Time on the 3DS is an original game. Anyways, this game is great. If you want to hear more of my thoughts on it, well, I happen to be releasing a video on it later this month. Take care.
Hey everybody, I'm Stockbox Gamer.
I'm Sandman.
And we're from the Three Master Gamers. We're here to talk about our favorite game. My favorite game is Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga.
My favorite game is Lego Star Wars.
But we play pretty much any type of game, even if it's these games.
The baddest games.
We're that awesome. Yeah, we play all these type of games.
They're horrible!
And Miles is there too, as a part of their. His favorite game is Superman 64.
That's a lie!
Yeah, it is.
I like the Smash Bros. I resent both of you!
That's our editor, Michael. He likes Smash a lot.
Sleep with
Anyways,
one eye open. I really like Dokapon Kingdom and Halo too.
Okay, see you guys. Actually,
Sleep with one eye open, you two. I resent you.
Whatever. Peace.
Okay, maybe I was wrong about Reservoir Dogs, but you know where I'm not wrong? In this classic game on the original Xbox, Shenmue's Deep Sea Adventure. That's right, a game all about that lovable, friendly killer whale in that SeaWorld adventure park that's being held prisoner. This game's got everything. Well, maybe not a hell of a lot, but you know one thing it does do? It's actually in high definition. No joke, go find a copy. Look in the back right here. It's in high definition, one of the few Xbox games originals that are actually in HD. You can play Shenmue in HD. That's pretty cool.
My favorite video game of all time is Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga. And the reason for that is just, it's an amazing game. The music is great, the writing is great, the graphics are absolutely colorful and beautiful, and it's just an awesome game. It's on the Game Boy Advance too, which means it's portable, which is also great. I think I might be a little biased because I've played this game since I was about maybe 5 or 6. And it's probably the game I have the most memories with. But maybe the reason I have so many memories is because it's just so freaking great. But yeah, that's my 1 minute clip thing. Maybe it's 1 minute, maybe it's 30 seconds, I don't know. Peace.
Hi, I'm Bionic Zach from the channel Super Big Crew, and I'm here to tell you about my favorite game of all time, Resident Evil 4. Now, I could talk about my love for this game for hours on end, but I'll try my best to summarize. You play as Leon S. Kennedy from Resident Evil 2. This time you are sent to a mysterious European village to rescue the president's daughter. In my opinion, the coolest thing about this game is that it completely reinvents the Resident Evil series from being a survival horror game to a survival horror action game. It's like the first game is Alien, and this one is Aliens. Despite changing the gameplay to more of an action feel, I think this game is a lot scarier than the previous 3 entries in the series. Mainly because I don't find zombies that threatening. Actually, they're quite overused now in pop culture. I think cultists are a lot scarier, especially these ones that want to completely brainwash you into doing their bidding. Overall, this game is completely amazing, and if you haven't played it yet, go out and get it. It's on every console. Have a blast.
A survival horror series known for its high ham content and impressive amount of cheese factor, the Resident Evil games make for one pretty bizarre omelet. Balancing the scary, the action, and the corny dialogue can't be an easy job, and though I think honest efforts were made, I don't think the formula was mastered until Resident Evil 4. The game is scary, action-packed, and if you can believe it, kind of funny, and while those things sound discordant, that's what makes it work. This game does not suffer from being too serious, and the moment you try to tell me that the game isn't serious enough, well, I'm a chuck a Chief Mendez at ya. And the moment you try to tell me that it's not scary, you will be the first person I leg sweep while running away from a regenerator. Contrast is important for keeping a narrative that is this long from getting boring or repetitive. We aren't sick of seeing Leon be a total badass because he's not beyond goofing around a bit on the job.
You'd be fine if you landed on your butt.
We aren't tired of monsters being oh so strategically placed along our journey because there are moments of reprieve, choosing to throw some other hazard our direction for a change. There is so much happening in the story and design of Resident Evil 4 that I am tempted to call it an epic, expanding so far from its point of origin and taking the audience along for every amazing step of the way.
Hey guys, 2-Bit Jesus here, just wanting to say what my favorite video game of all time is. Well, really, favorite video game series of all time would have to be The Legend of Zelda. But with so many great titles, which one do I choose? This is so hard! Link's Awakening, that'd have to be it, because I got it for Christmas and I don't even remember asking for a Game Boy or Link's Awakening, but I got both. And it was such an awesome experience. I sunk so many hours into that game. And it was the first time I felt truly immersed into a game, and I actually believed, or not believed, but felt that the characters I was interacting with were actual people. It was a great game, I had a lot of fun and a lot of good memories, and that would probably have to be my top favorite. Thanks for watching, guys, and thank you, Shane. 2-Bit Jesus, signing out. This is so hard!
While I've been a Nintendo fan back since the days of the N64, it's kind of funny that my favorite series of games isn't a Nintendo series, and is actually the Dark Souls series. The first game is such a mix of great yet sometimes frustrating game mechanics. This game feels almost like a modern version of the NES Legend of Zelda game, albeit having the difficulty of the NES Megaman games. A large world that you are thrown into and given no instruction, just pick up a sword, or axe, or pyromancy flame, and go discover stuff. The gameplay is what makes this game just so amazing. There are a good variety of weapons and spells to use, and the use of them is only based on what stats you decide to level up, not predetermined by class. So, build your character right, and you can have a character that wears big bulky armor, but uses sorcery and wields katana, or wears light armor and one-hands a giant greatsword with a tower shield. The game has a reputation for being extremely difficult. While it is, it's halfway only a learning curve that, once you have put in the time to learn the game's physics and system, will make the game easier to progress through, but still remain a hardy challenge. I could go on, but if you want to play a game that lets you play any way you want and rewards you for your practice and determination, I highly recommend Dark Souls. But remember, prepare to die. A lot.
Little King's Story is one of the best games ever made, hands down. Like Pikmin but wish there was more unit types? Got 'em. And they're upgradable. Wish you could see the Pikmin live out their lives in a kingdom you can upgrade with money you find from treasure hunting and conquering other kingdoms? Boom. Want to explore a world that's just the right size, full of secrets, and channels Dark Souls and what people pretend the first Zelda was like? Got you covered. Do you enjoy quirky, funny games with dark undertones? It's got that. Do you want to date 7 girls? Boom, done. But most importantly, do you want to conquer the world? Because that's what you do. All that and more is what makes this game so damn great. And none of you bought it.
So what game had such a big impact on me? My favorite game of all time, as cliche as it sounds, is Final Fantasy VII. This is my original PlayStation 1 copy. So back in '97, the only games I've ever played was platformers and fighting games. And this opened my mind up to new and different experiences. No longer was I just interested in, Darkwing Duck killing enemies. No, now I had a big fantasy world to explore, I had characters I cared about, story that I just got hooked in, and had to keep playing over and over till I got more quests and things like that. Stuff I've never been into. Even experienced my first character death, which, yes, I did cry as a 12 and 13-year-old kid. Seriously, don't laugh. Seriously. It's good. Play it.
What's going on, folks? I'm RetroGamingTube85, and my favorite game of all time is Castlevania Dracula X on the Super Nintendo. Castlevania Dracula X is a technical marvel, has a CD quality audio soundtrack on the Super Nintendo that's just mind-blowing even to this day. There's really no explanation as how they fit CD quality music into this game, but they did. Couple that with some impressive graphics, a great color palette, and that classic Castlevania gameplay, and you got a game that just can't be beat in my opinion. Sure, the cartridge is a little pricey nowadays, but you can pick it up on the Wii U eShop, and I highly suggest you do, as this is a game that you do not want to miss out on.
One of my personal favorite video games of all time is Daytona USA 2. Back when I was around 6 or 7 years old, I saw this game for the first time at an arcade, and I completely fell in love with it. Racing games are my personal favorite video game genre of all time, so when I saw Daytona, it blew my mind. Like, I played a bunch of Mario Kart and San Francisco Rush and stuff like that, but nothing felt as real as Daytona 2. Like, the way that the cars handled, like, they had weight to them, and the force feedback from the actual arcade machine, it felt amazing. Like, I hadn't felt anything like that in a video game before. And, like, the track designs and how fantastical they looked, and the graphics looked amazing, and the soundtrack was awesome. And the worst part, it was actually never released for a home console. You could not play this outside of an arcade, but I mean, nowadays you can emulate it like I did here, but there's really nothing else like Daytona 2 out there, and it's my personal favorite video game of all time.
Hello, my name is Repskiller and my favorite game is Rogue Age. I like this game because of the vehicular combat system in it, the soundtrack and the driving mechanics. It is a great multiplayer title that I still play online with friends every Saturday night. The game has an excellent drum and bass soundtrack that brought me to Easy Rollers, Ed Rush, Fatboy Slim and Pressurize. The PC version has a different soundtrack than the PlayStation version. The PC version's soundtrack got composed by Martin Somerville. The game has 4 roads with 3 to 4 tracks in each road. My favorite road is Nioto City and my favorite track is Floodzone because the design of this track is amazing. Rogue Age has 7 different characters you can pick from. As an example, Tony has the best acceleration, but the worst handling. Meanwhile, it's Leon well balanced with speed, acceleration and handling. A spiritual successor named Grip is coming out in November 2015 as early access release on Steam. I can't wait for this game because 2 people of our original dev team are working on this game.
To me, my favourite video game of all time has to be Super Mario Galaxy. I will never forget the first time playing it on my brand new Wii back in 2007, and just seeing everything. The spectacular atmosphere, beautiful soundtrack, and the amazing gameplay all really clicked at me.
It was like nothing I'd ever seen before, and I was always looking forward to whatever would happen next in the game. This game was literally out of this world, and that reason is why Super Mario Galaxy is my favourite video game of all time.
Hey guys, it's Chrono Wolf here, video game and chiptune musician, VFX artist and Twitch streamer. You know, my favourite video game series of all time would have to be the Tex Murphy series. What made these games so great and so well revered even to this day is three key reasons. Firstly, they were technically way ahead of their time. While other titles featured rudimentary 3D, these titles offered you full freedom of movement and the ability to explore every inch of the world you were in. Secondly, they made use of full motion video, but not the full motion video you remember. We're talking about well executed and well acted sequences that really raised the bar and stood ahead of some of the crap that was being released at around about the same time. The full motion video actually added to the games rather than subtract from it, with the right amount of cheese and production value. While more modern attempts from developers at the genre may claim to do FMV right, these guys were already doing it right since the 90s. Lastly, they defined a genre, and despite being a part of a sinking ship that was the full motion video adventure game, their recently kickstarted title Tesla Effect proved that Tex Murphy will always be a household name in the adventure genre. And there you have it. That's why I consider the Tex Murphy series the best video game series of all time. Well, at least for now. Thanks for having me, Rerez.
Are you serious about this? Because I don't think I said it wrong. Shenmue. Shenmue.
Shamu.
Oh, Shamu. Oh, I see. What the hell, Shenmue? I've never heard of that game. What's it about? A disc? What kind of disc? That sounds like a stupid game. I want to thank everyone for sending in their videos because this has been a really cool collaboration with tons of videos being sent in. Be sure to check out the comments below and find the creators of these videos and talk with them, find out more about their channels, and check them out. Every single one of these guys are passionate about video games, and it's really awesome to see the content they've produced. Thanks guys, catch you later.